Hello everyone, thank you for joining us at this news hour on Equinoxe television live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In the top stories at this news hour, the people of the Lebialem division now strategizing and striving to restore peace in that part of the crisis-stricken southwest region. The Republic of Cameroon, sons and daughters of the Lebialem division converged on the southwest regional chieftain Boya at the weekend to discuss peace. And in news out of the Republic of Cameroon, Deputy President William Ruto has been declared winner of Kenya's presidential election amid dramatic scenes. Those were our top stories. Peace, and peace again. This is what the sons and daughters of the Lebialem division were discussing at the weekend in the southwest regional chief town, Boya. They met to strategize on how to restore peace in that administrative unit of the crisis-stricken southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. It should be noted that the Lebialem division is one of the most affected by the close to 6-year-long armed conflict going on in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. Derek Jato reports.
Development of crisis-stricken regions.
Everyone here in this hall in Boya, the southwest regional capital, is from here. Lebialem division as his or her birthplace. And all sitting here belong to two or more parties of ideas and ideology.
In my own assessment, the key factor is that of dialogue, having a kind of dialogue with, the two camps, the major stakeholders must have a form of dialogue. And having that form of dialogue, they must also put in place a kind of a truth and reconciliation commission in Lebialem.
And each party has been at extreme, causing fraction and division, which has helped in killing them as a people and as a division.
Lebialem is considered as a black spot in the map of Cameroon, particularly our divisional headquarters. Ours is the only divisional headquarters out of 58 in this country, which is a total ghost town.
The good thing today is that for the first time in 5 years, they are sitting together for a socio-economic conference to assess where they are and where they want to be as a people.
We are going to go to Menji, clean up the city, chase the rodents, and go back and make our capital city lively.
That enough is enough. Enough is enough because we've kept ourselves on a single position, moving backward, while other divisions amongst the divisions of Cameroon have been moving forward. So enough is enough with hostilities that are drawing the socio-economic development of Lebialem backwards.
All of us have agreed that as Lebialem people, we are ready.
They are meeting at the time Lebialem division is 30 years old.
Motion of support as follows.
In a motion of support, they thank President Paul Biya. Paul Tasson is an elite of Lebialem division. He is also a minister in the country and the convener of the conference. Before closing the session, the minister asked if anyone was not comfortable with the motion of support to President Paul Biya. He or she should feel free.
We want to be all-inclusive in our approach, but at the same time, we want to leave the window of comfort open. The signatures that will be appended to that motion will come from our attendance list. Anybody who is not comfortable appearing as a signatory of that motion is the secretariat today. Just go there and quietly get your name removed from the attendance list.
Reports said there was no contrary opinion. The task is therefore very close and very clear before the Lebialem people, staring them in the face. And critics say until this Menji, headquarters of the Lebialem division, gets up and vibrates again. If not, no one has done any work.
Cameroon's Minister Delegate at the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, National Coordinator of the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and Southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon, elite of the Lebialem Division, Paul Tasson, leading his people on the track of peace. And coming up, Derek Jatta shows us and tells us just how badly Menji and the Lebialem Division as a whole have been affected by the close to 6-year-long armed conflict going on in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon.
We are touching down in less than 5 minutes, and this is the picture of the Lebialem Division from the sky. We are now just meters above the roofs of Menji, very close to the ground, and very close to the realities of what Menji has become from when the Anglophone crisis escalated some 6 years ago. On the ground, the authorities too have seen that everything in the Lebialem Division is getting bad and very fast. Divisional delegations and other institutions have not been operating for a very long time now. The separatist fighters concentrated their firepower here, and hundreds have been killed as the result. Recently, the self-styled Field Marshal of the Lebialem Division, Oliver Likeka, leader of the Red Dragon militia, was assassinated. But it seems Oliver did not only leave behind these damages, but also sympathizers, fear, and trauma. Lebialem is still empty, even after his death.
The city has become, city of Menji, the headquarters of Lebialem Division, has become a ghost town.
As we attempt to take pictures, we were cautioned, for everywhere is a potential front line, and many eyes might be watching at us. Seeing what he qualified as a very disturbing situation, Southwest Governor Bernardo Kaliabilai gave reasons why it is possible for Lebialem people to stop the separatist activities in a day, if they desire.
Those separatists, the separatists of Lebialem, they are coming from Lebialem. They are not coming from Fako. They are not coming from Manu. They are son and daughter of Lebialem. So they are known. They are known by the leaders of Lebialem, traditional rulers, religious authorities, elite, the official elected. Let them come back and pull those their misguided brothers out of the bushes. 6 years after they have killed a whole generation.
Going to school, which is the future, is now history in the Lebialem Division. The nation is losing.
6 years is the time for a child to go from class 1 to class 6, where he can obtain his first school living certificate. So can you imagine the number of illiterate people have created here because of what we don't know?
Over here, we saw a room now buried in the grass. Though the occupant did not take any property, but he or she must have been laden with a lot of emotions and bad memories. And as we fly back and out of Lebialem Division, this division has very little to be desired apart from this natural endowment, these unique hills, when looked at from above, in a division that is today empty.
That is the image Minister Paul Tasson other elite of the BLM division and the population at large want to change by chasing away secessionist fighters, by stopping secessionist activities. But right defenders, civil society activists like Barrister Tamfu Richard, political leaders like Kabanwala Edith of the CPP, John Fundi of the SDF, and of course Maurice Kamto of the CRM political party and others have been calling on the authorities to take appropriate actions to solve the problem at the roots and not at the level of the leaves of the tree. And now coming up, we take you to the Sanaga Maritime Division, and we're going to be looking at efforts to step up food security in the country at a time when it's becoming increasingly very difficult to put food on the table 3 times a day as a result of increasing food prices and other problems affecting the country. And now stakeholders of the fishing sector are trying to see how they can step up the contribution of this sector to food security in Cameroon. Lucy Liengo reports.
At a time when Cameroon and the world at large is facing food crisis, stakeholders in the fish sector are strategizing on how to improve fishing and mitigate the impact of food crisis in Cameroon. Meeting in a symposium in Mwako subdivision in the littoral region, fishers brought together by the Ministry of Livestock, Fishing and Animal Industry discussed on some problems faced by the sector.
Mais au niveau de la pêche de capture, il y a beaucoup de problèmes qui se posent.
In the fishing sector, we have challenges like bad practices, people who are not authorized to fish. We also have pollution, which is a great impact to the environment. So this campaign is to sensitize fishers in the interior villages on how we can preserve our natural resources.
À terme, sensibiliser tous les acteurs afin que nous puissions préserver cette ressource.
As a means to combat these problems, fishers were equally encouraged to have a fishing license.
Before you go in for fishing, you have to compile your dossiers to acquire a fishing permit. That permits you to go fishing, and then it is practically, you use it for 1 year, which is renewable. After each year, from January to December, you renew. And in the course of this process of establishing your fishing permit, we sensitize you on the good practice that we encourage for you people to use, and to abstain from using toxic products when they want to fish. We also discourage them from going to where there is the reproduction of fish is carried out. So if they respect this, I think we go a long way to redress the situation.
Fishermen equally highlighted some setbacks they encounter in the domain.
Mais la seule chose, ce permis de pêche, mais c'est pour nous très pertinent.
One of the problems we have is that we are being asked of a fishing license. At the time of our parents, they never had this. We equally don't understand why its duration is just 1 year. We thought it was supposed to be for a lifetime. We also take a lot of time to fish. Sometimes we go deep like 5 to 6 meters. Today, with all these difficulties, we find persons who come out of the water bleeding from their nostrils because we go too deep. We then ask the government if there is no way one can fish without having these challenges.
On essaie un peu de demander au gouvernement, est-ce qu'on ne peut pas nous aider dans la mesure où quelqu'un peut faire cette pêche sans toutefois qu'il y ait une difficulté comme celle-là.
The symposium had as theme information, education and communication campaign on the sustainable management of fisheries resources.
Catholic Christians across the world celebrated the Feast of Assumption. Today, it is believed Mary, the mother of Jesus, was taken up to heaven, body and soul, and this day is set aside every year to celebrate that. And while celebrating Mass at the New Bell Sacred Heart Parish in New Bell, of course, here in Douala, His Grace Samuel Klida called on Christians to seek the intercession of Mary for peace in Cameroon. Annabella reports.
The Assumption, a day Catholic Christians believe the Virgin Mary, Mother of Jesus, was assumed into heaven, body and soul. To celebrate the solemnity of the feast, the Archbishop of the Douala Archdiocese communed with Christians of the Sacred Heart Parish in New Bell in a pontifical mass. During his homily taken from the Gospel of St. Luke, His Grace Samuel Cleda said Mary is a model of peace and humility when she visited Elizabeth and proclaimed that all generations will call her blessed because God has looked down on his lowly servant. Samuel Cleda enjoined Christians to seek Mary's intercession during moments of personal and national conflicts.
Une mère ne peut jamais abandonner son fils, malgré toutes les difficultés.
You know, a mother can never abandon her son. Despite every difficulty, she is there for him, which means for us, whenever we want to obtain something from Jesus, we pass through his mom, the Virgin Mary, we will have it. Take for instance the Canaan feast. So through Mary, we obtain grace and blessings.
Nous l'obtenons en passant par la Vierge Marie. Mais ce n'est pas une invention. Essayons tout simplement de lire la parole de Dieu.
It is not an invention. Let's just read our Bibles well.
Toutes les religions reconnaissent la Vierge Marie.
Every religion recognizes the Virgin Mary, the mother of the Savior. But who doesn't have a mother?
Si vous voulez obtenir quelque chose de quelqu'un, passez par sa mère.
Take for instance, if you need something from somebody, ask from the person's mother and you will obtain it easily.
Jean, vous l'obtenez.
The Pontifical Mass at the Sacred Heart Parish was attended by several religious and those of consecrated life.
Before you get anything from the Father, first of all, you will look unto Mary and go to her, and she will be the one to give you the opportunity, the door to be open so that you meet our Lord Jesus, to permit you to accept whatever you want to take from God. Our Mother Mary is the patroness of Cameroon, a patroness of all nations. That's why whenever we are praying our litany of the saints, there is a place we say, Our Lady, Queen of Cameroon, pray for us. Our Lady, Queen of Africa, pray for us.
The faithful present affirmed that the Blessed Virgin Mary is a great intercessor and can intercede for peace in Cameroon.
The patron of Cameroon, when we are praying, we say that, Mama, we want peace in this country because you know that this country, Cameroon, is your country. Jesus have given you that, Mama, lead them. People say we adore Mary. We don't adore Mary. We venerate Mary. We venerate Mary. Because you cannot go to a house without knocking the door, asking the mother that where is his son. You cannot pass through. You must ask Mama that, Mama, is your son in? Then we pass through Mary. And I believe you, my daughter. Every time I pray my rosary, praying for Mary, I have what I obtained what I was longing for.
The divine conception of Jesus the Savior by the Virgin Mary had already been prophesied by the prophet Elijah in the Old Testament and later concretized when during their visitation Elizabeth described Mary as a mother of her Lord, followed by the Virgin Mary's Magnificat, all generations will call me blessed. Catholic Christians maintain that contrary to other beliefs, the Virgin Mary is honored and venerated because she is privileged and chosen by God to be the mother of Jesus, the Savior of mankind.
Peace also took center stage in the celebration of the Feast of Assumption in the nation's political capital Yaoundé and elsewhere across the Republic of Cameroon. Now take a listen to His Lordship Blaise Pascal Sanga Mbega, Vicar General of the Archdiocese of Yaoundé. He spoke to Yaoundé correspondent Ike Cyril.
To imitate the Blessed Virgin Mary, who accepted only to do the will of God, that only the will of God may be done in her life. The Blessed Virgin Mary is exalted in the heavens with her body and her soul, not because she corrupted her son, no, it's because she did the will of God all her life long. That's why the Son, the Savior of the world, said, Mom, you will not know the corruption of death. I will take you in the heavens. In that way, Mary shares forever the life of God. The life of God. That's why we may see that among all the saints, she's the one who appears most of the time in countries because she has been taken in the heavens with her body and her soul. She is now the one who can make us love heaven. We are now called, all of us, as Christians, as men and women of goodwill, to imitate her virtues, so that one day or the other, we too may know the grace of the resurrection with our bodies and with our souls. Thank you.
His Lordship Blaise Pascal Sangampega, Vicar General of the Yaoundé Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church, speaking to ETV's Ike Sirin in Yaoundé. Now on to something else. Now we take you to news out of the Republic of Cameroon. Deputy President William Ruto has been declared the winner of Kenya's presidential election amid dramatic scenes. He narrowly beat his rival Raila Odinga, taking 50.5% of the vote according to the official results. The announcement was delayed amid scuffles and allegations of vote rigging by Mr. Odinga's campaign. 4 of the 7 members of the Electoral Commission refused to endorse the results, saying it was opaque. And of course, the situation remains a little tense in Kenya. Now take a listen to the first statement of Deputy President, now President-elect of Kenya, William Ruto.
Chair, Raila Odinga's agents stood outside of the National Tallying Center and contested the results. So what we're likely to see over the next few hours is a contested outcome, especially since, as I said, commissioners from this very same electoral commission have come out and denounced the results of the election and have doubted the transparency of the tallying.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, led by Chairman Wafula.
Let's see if we can listen to
a wonderful evening, and I want to thank God that we are here this evening to witness this momentous occasion as the people of Kenya restate what is in Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya, that all sovereign power belong to the people of Kenya. I want to thank God for getting us to this point. I want to thank God that today we have concluded this election. I know that there were predictions that I won't get to the ballot. There were predictions that we won't get here. But because there is a God in heaven, we are here. And I want to, in a very special way, say and confess that without God, we wouldn't have been here.
The announcement of results of the presidential election in Kenya was delayed amid scuffles of allegations of vote rigging from Raila Odinga's campaign. Now take a listen to the chief election agent of Raila Odinga's camp.
Agent for Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, together with Martha Karua, Senior Counsel, and therefore I am the national chief agent for the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party. As you know, we had received an invitation that the announcement by the chairman of the IEBC of the results of the presidential results will come out today at 3 p.m. We have been waiting for that announcement, but before the announcement can be made, we as agents had been assured that we will be supplied with the Form 34C, which bears the results of that election. The chairman has been very evasive the whole day. He has been avoiding to meet us as agents. He has deliberately held himself incommunicado. We do not know where he is. We have every reason to believe that this is an extension of the irregularities that all Kenyans have witnessed in these elections. These have been the most mismanaged election perhaps in our country's history. We have, as we speak right now, We do not know what the chairman is doing with those results. We have had concerns, particularly about the integrity of the IEBC technology and server. We have intelligence and reports that...
That was a statement from Raila Odinga's camp before the announcement of results of the presidential election in Kenya, and 4 of the 7 members of the Electoral Commission refused to endorse the results, saying it was opaque. And of course, Juliana Chirikra, the vice chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, said, I quote, "We cannot take ownership of the results that is going to be announced because of the opaque nature of this last phase of the general election." That was the statement by 4 of the members of the Independent Electoral Commission of Kenya, who say they cannot take ownership of the results that have been announced already. Coming up, Talking Point. Thank you for joining us in Talking Points today. Our guest is Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. He is an educationist, an entrepreneur, and a politician joining us today. And we're going to be looking at how to have a new Cameroon that will be free from the high level of corruption, embezzlement of public funds, and all the issues that are making life much more difficult, very difficult for Cameroonians, especially the low-income earners and those living below the poverty line. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, and good evening to our listeners. Yes, you want to know why there's so much corruption, hardship, embezzlement in our country. It is but normal if you look at the form of state that we've got, and also you look at our school system. The problem is coming from two areas. We have an issue of bad governance, and that bad governance comes from the form of state, and also those that have been trained to look after our state apparatus. And then the second thing is, as a people, our education for the last 60 years has been a poor type of education, which does not allow us as individuals to generate wealth for our people. Our youth cannot create jobs, and that problem comes from the poor education. So we need to correct these two things, and then we'll be okay. You know, we can have Konak in every house or a gendarme in every house. The corruption will not stop.
Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, tell us why are such issues like corruption, embezzlement of public funds, violence, immorality, insecurity, impunity thriving in Cameroon?
You've seen attendant ills like violence and some other issues in the community. You know, you've got to understand that, you know, the human beings behave in a particular way. You know, if you have studied the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you would see that our most basic needs, the so-called physiological needs, are food, their water, their air, sleep, and then as you go up, you have security, love for each other, ego, self-actualization, and then the transcendental phase. So those basic things, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be a president, a governor, a doctor. It doesn't matter who you are. If you don't have food, you're going to fight. If you don't sleep and have a restful time, you're going to fight. If you are not healthy, you are going to fight. If there's no security for you, you're going to fight. So when people are reacting violently in a community, it means that they cannot meet their basic needs, and we have to be able to look for ways and means on providing those basic needs, of helping people to access those basic needs. Otherwise, you cannot stop the violence. And we're training a lot of youths who are not productive, and we're sending them on the field. So to see them violent, as far as I'm concerned, that's just something natural. It's not surprising. So the question we should be asking is, what kind of education should we be giving our children and giving everybody, so that we can get to a place where everyone puts money in their pockets, everyone can create wealth for themselves. As long as we as a nation, we keep selling raw materials and there are no industries and we are not transforming anything, and then we are using the little money that we have to import wheat, rice, and all these things, will ever remain poor. Like I've said before, if you go to our supermarkets, 95% of the goods that are sold in our supermarkets are imported. So we are creating poverty for ourselves. And those supermarkets are not even owned by Cameroonians. So you can see all the money is going away. The other day I visited a Chinese shop and realized that, if we were to train our children very well and buy the industries, more than 60 or 70% of those things that are sold in that shop, we can make them in Cameroon.
Tell us more about the responsibilities of government on one hand, the population on the other hand.
So this calls for us to have a new Cameroon today. We have to have a new Cameroon. There's no question. It's an imperative. We must have a new Cameroon. And we earlier on said that the problems are emanating from from the form of state, which needs to be corrected. The problems are emanating from the governance structure. And when we are talking about governance, 80% of our governance structures, they come from Enam, is the Enam mindset, and there is something wrong with that Enam mindset that ought to be corrected. And you know that the French, from whom we inherited, they have corrected their own Enam and are doing something about it. But our own, we have trained people who just kick people around, and all they do is commandement, maintenance of law and order. But when it comes to creating wealth, they are not so particular about creating wealth. They are not so particular about anything else. They just throw their weight around, and then but that is not it. 60 years down the line, we as a nation, we are not isolated from the rest of the world. So we could be doing the wrong things here. The rest of the world will be going ahead without us, and so there is need for us to change. So we are saying that there is a responsibility on the part of the government, and then there is a responsibility on the part of the people. But the government has got to take the lead to show people the right things to do. So as we change the form of state, and as we change and get a new government in this country, and that government should have a mindset and the ability to actually solve our problems from the roots. It should be a kind of government that tolerates genuine and inclusive dialogue with everybody. And talking about dialogues, we have a great dialogue that is going to come. There will be a dialogue between Anglophones and the government as far as the Anglophone problem is concerned. That dialogue has to be between Anglophones, all shades of Anglophones, and the government, and it will be the new government, that not this one. And then the other thing that we have to realize is that there are many other dialogues so that we can have harmony in the nation. The new government must have a dialogue with the Bamileke people, must have a dialogue with the Northerners, must have a dialogue with the Beti and people of the Center South, and must have a dialogue with the Dwellers. And it must also have a dialogue with the youths. The youths make up about 70% of our population, and the government needs to get into a new relationship with the youths. The government must also dialogue with the diaspora and get into a new relationship with the diaspora. We need to create a new Cameroon with a new mindset, and it will be about change of our educational system, change of our governance structures, have a government that serves the people. But what we have now is a government that is being served. We should have a government that is accountable to the people. When we get there, the problems of the country will begin to have solutions. But now, you see, if you go back to 2013, the president, His Excellency President Paul Biya, noticed that our government and our administration was suffering from inertia, and people cared more about their personal self than the common good. And there's a lot of lies telling, and all of these things need to be corrected. Already you can begin to see some of the corrections. You know that it was usually people in big places who had access to government money, and they were stealing this money, and all they did as a job was to send motions of support and sing praises to the president. But you see, the president stopped that, and nobody mentions it again. He wants, if you are supporting the president, show him that you are a good servant by serving the people. The president puts you there to serve the people, not to sing praises to him. So you begin begin to see many of these things begin to change, and the mindset in the country has got to change, and we have to have a new way of doing things. And I think there will be a government of national unity coming, or a transitional government that will look into these things. If we have elections now, it will not solve the problem, but a new government has to be picked which has a different mindset from what we have now, that would actually look at the problems of the nation and solve them. And if that government comes in place, I tell you, even in 3 months, you'll see a lot of good.
Some political observers, right defenders, like Jang Dinis, national president of the PAP, Agbo Bala, Barrister Agbo Bala of the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, had been calling for an Anglophone president, saying that it is time for an Anglophone president to take over the helm of this country, and that could change a lot. That could be a game changer. But from what you've just said now, we can conclude that if there is an election and even an Anglophone president takes over in the present context, nothing or very little is going to change, and the very problems that we've been crying for over 4 decades today would likely still be there. Now, Dr. Nick Nguyen, how soon can we have the change, the transformation that you're talking about?
So how soon can this transformation become reality? You know, I think the person who's got to push the button for the plane to take off is His Excellency President Paul Biya himself. When he pushes the button, he'll be the one who will push the button and trigger everything. And that would be as soon as he comes up with a new government that has the capacity and is able to understand and solve problems, you will begin to see solutions. That is where it begins. And from there on, things will just cascade into place, and Cameroon will never be the same again. And I can vouch for you, I can tell you that when this happens, Cameroon is going to be one of the best countries in Africa, the fastest growing. People will find their space, and the diaspora will have a lot of work to do to build our country. And you see, we have to change our educational system so that our children will be able to work and generate wealth and create all those things that we need. And we have the capacity to even create 2 million jobs for youths in this country every 2 years if we know what we are doing. And the new government or the transition government will be able to do that.
What do you think about foreign aid from out of the country to help Cameroon achieve some of these things that you're talking about?
Well, when we're talking about foreign aid is very tricky. What you have to realize is that the white man gave us independence 60 years ago, but he never really wanted to help us. So there are 2 types of independences. There is the political independence, which is what they gave every African country. Then they held back on a type of independence which is called economic independence. In real terms, economic independence is more important than political independence. So in political independence, they just give you the country and you wear a coat and tie, you drive around, you get saluted by gendarmes, you think you are independent. No, but they hold you by the testicles. And they hold you by the testicles is they hold your economy. As long as they hold your economy down, you'll be a beggar. So if we have a lot of violence and underdevelopment in our country, it's because the economy in Cameroon is not controlled by Cameroonians, it's controlled by foreigners. And so foreigners are great, they can give you great advice, but if you don't have your own brain, they'll all take you for a ride. So what we need to do is we need to sit down as Cameroonians and speak truth to each other. The problem of solving the problems in Cameroon is not about foreigners. The problem is about truth and love. Speak truth to your brother. Look at your brother eyeball to eyeball and speak truth to him in love and say, what you are doing to me is not good. How can we fix this? You know, try to find out, identify the problem that is hurting you as brothers, then genuinely look for solutions to those problems and give everybody their space and give people an opportunity to be creative and innovative, and all this rubbish will stop. And then you will see the country will move forward. Then give our young people and our people in the diaspora who are very innovative, who are very creative, all of them out there in the diaspora. You know, if we are still going to be debating the issue of double nationalities, just give them residence cards to be coming home, provide land for them, provide opportunities for them, let them come and invest and create the industries. We have to industrialize. Our economy is very, very primitive. We have to industrialize. The problem that we have in Cameroon, we just need to agree that we are brothers, change the form of government to what is suitable for everybody, give youths their space, give them the skills training, change the education, give them the skills training, so that in 2 years we can can begin to generate 2 million jobs for all of them, and they'll be able to create their own wealth and put money in their pockets. I tell you, when we begin to look after the youth and look after those in the diaspora, most of the problems we have in Cameroon will disappear. So it is not a foreigner that will solve that for us. If we wanted to, we would have no problems. It's just because we are not thinking. So the new government will come up with a mindset and solve the problems. If there are some questions for which we have no answers, or if we need help in technology one way or the other, we will ask for help from abroad. But speaking truth does not call for a foreigner.
Right, Dr. Nick Nguyen, educationist, entrepreneur, politician, thank you so much for joining us today. That's it for today's edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe Television. Do stay with us if you can.